God damn it, this ship's like a maze. Well, in those damn vents, I think I saw a Necron and a red space marine. You watching? Do you like mechs? What about coffins? And if you like 40k, you must like guns. So if you mash it all together, we have dreadnoughts. Now I'm going to drag you through their lore. So what the hell is a dreadnought? The quick version is, they are walking metal coffins with guns strapped to the side of them. Now, the longer version. The Dreadnought is both an armoured walker and a life support system, and their pilot are neurally linked straight into the Dreadnought's cybernetic systems and move the walker as if it was their own body, although the pilot is forever entombed within the Dreadnought until they are destroyed. So now, we know what a Dreadnought is. How does an Astartes get entombed in one? If you're not a servitor, then the previous bit gives you the answer. As it works as a life support system, then an Astartes must be critically injured and then placed in the coffin as a lump of flesh and organs and connected to the walker. When a dreadnought is damaged and needs repairs, then you normally summon a tech marine. Do they also apply sacred oils while chanting litanies? Dreadnoughts sleep in a room in the armory, and these rooms are regarded as sacred shrines by the dreadnought's battle brothers, and tech marines delicately anoint them with sacred balms and oils on a daily basis. Dreadnoughts are highly revered by the brothers for their wisdom and strength, and some space marines attend to them to pay their respects even while they sleep. Now, we know a bit about these walkers. The next thing I will be taking you through is the history of them. The roots of dreadnoughts go all the way back to the dark age of technology. In different forms on Mars and the techno-barbarian warlords of Terra, they were also scattered across the human realms in the Age of Strife. Some of these individual relics were still in service during the Great Crusade and early years of the Horus Heresy. The first dreadnought I'll be talking about is the Feburides pattern dreadnought. This pattern was one of the earliest ones used by Space Marines. Information on this pattern is sparse in the Imperial records. This pattern was similar to the Contemptor dreadnought, though this dreadnought was more rounded and squat chassis and legs. Moving forward in time to the days of the Great Crusade and the Horus Heresy, we have the Contemptor pattern dreadnought. This dread was the staple pattern of the era, though first we have to press the rewind button to the end of the Unification War, where they were first raised. Information on these dreads can be found all over, from chapter Memento Mori and the Imperial monuments that have been raised in Necromunda and Lorin Alpha. These showed that they played a crucial part in the earliest Astartes forces. The weapons on these walkers could be anything from twin-linked heavy bolters to multi-mounters, or twin-linked flamer. Though these are only a few of the weapons types, their main weapon would be different to suit tactical needs. If you needed more weapons on your Contemptor Dread, then look no further than the Dorito pattern dreadnought, as these dedicated heavy weapon dreadnoughts would leave most foes on the battlefield looking like Swiss cheese. As the main weapons were twin-linked Avilius autocannon batteries, these fearsome weapons would punish armoured targets with a salvo of fire. The carapace of the dreadnought could also mount additional weapons and support systems, like twin-linked heavy bolters or heavy flamers, for close-in defense, as well as the advanced Alos missile launcher, which with its targeting system could track targets independently of the primary weapon systems and regardless of intervening terrain. In the latter days of the Great Crusade, and in secret from prying eyes of the Mechanicum, in a limited number, the Leviathan pattern dreadnought was created. This dread was oversized with its massive frame, as it was a hybrid of technologies, some dating back to the dim past of humanity. It was made for siege warfare, and is armed primarily with close combat and support weapons that could render buildings to rubble and take vehicles and troops alike. It is no less effective, armed with powerful esoteric short-range weaponry uniquely built for it. The Leviathan's oversized atomic arc reactor allowed it to use more powerful weapons than other dreadnoughts could use. It is also powers a reinforced energy field. The systems of the Leviathan places a lethal strain on its user. There are a handful of these patterns of dreadnoughts that can be found in the 41st millennia that survive in the armories of Space Marine chapters. though they are reserved until dire situations, as Astartes who find themselves interred within a Leviathan will pay a heavy toll, either with their lives or their reasoning. The last dreadnought in the era of the Great Crusade and the Horus Heresy is the Legio Custodes Telamon pattern heavy dreadnought. This dreadnought was massive and was used by the Emperor of Mankind's personal bodyguards, the Legio Custodes. This dreadnought towered over contempt dreadnoughts, and the bulk was comparable to the Leviathan pattern. The Telamon pattern dreadnought has a striking resemblance to the Aquilian Terminator armour worn by the elites of the Custodes. This dreadnought stands strong against whatever the foes throw at the Custodes. These walkers were rare within the ranks, as the cost of labour and resources for the creation of such engines of war were large, as each would have at least one plate worked by the Emperor's own hand, and also the rarity of appropriate candidates to control them. The honour of entombment into one of these dreadnoughts was only rewarded to the most celebrated warriors within the ranks of the Custodes, and until a worthy candidate can be chosen, these dreadnoughts will stand silent and empty. Wow, those are some tall statues. And is that person got a glowing head?
Tech Marine, why are you here?
I was just having a wonder after doing my duties.
Okay, Battle Brother.
Moving through time to the 41st millennia, we have the pattern that was used the most, and that is called the Castophram pattern dreadnought. The main weapons consist of heavy weapons that can be assault cannons, multi-melters, twin-linked las cannons, twin-linked autocannons, twin-linked heavy bolters, twin-linked heavy flamers, missile launchers, or a plasma cannon. The left arm is equipped with close combat weapons that include power fists or power claws, a storm bolt or a heavy flamer fitted below its forearm. This pattern of dreadnought had many alternative weapons and equipment other than the standard load-out. These are a few versions. Starting us off is the assault dreadnought, as it replaces its ranged weapons with another close combat weapon. These versions are uncommon sights within many Space Marine chapters due to the dreadnought's lack of ranged weapons, and forfeits its ability to engage enemies' ranged attacks. These dreadnoughts are more favoured by chapters who use drop pod assaults. One such chapter is the Blood Ravens. The next one is the Hellfire Dreadnought, replacing its standard close combat weapon with a missile launcher, trading close combat fighting to anti-vehicle firepower. The advantage of the Dreadnought's missile launcher to their Battle Brothers launchers is that the Dreadnought can run at full speed while still firing a barrage of missiles. The Dreadnought's twin-linked autocannon can be switched up with a twin-linked las cannon. The third alternative version of the Dreadnought pattern is the Librarian Dreadnought. These come about when a Blood Angel Librarian is critically wounded in combat. The Dreadnought has a built-in Psychic Hood. A Psychic Hood is an arcane device that is used by Librarians to amplify the wearer's psychic powers and help protect the user from enemy psykers. They are also equipped with a Force weapon that is normally a Force Halberd instead of one of the fists. Those dreadnoughts can still wield their psychic powers in the armour. Librarian dreadnoughts are extremely rare amongst the Blood Angels and their successor chapters, and even rarer amongst the ranks of other Astartes chapters. These are only 3 out of the many versions of this pattern of dreadnought, but we must move on to the most recent pattern of dreadnoughts that have arrived alongside the Primaris Space Marines, these being called the Redemptor Dreadnought. These dreadnoughts are taller and broader than the traditional dreadnought design, and these Goliaths of battle are powered by hyperdense reactors and fiber bundles. The main weapons on the Redemptors are devastating, from heavy onslaught Gatling cannons or being swapped out for a macro plasma incinerator. On the other arm is a power fist that tears apart Xenobeast to demon engines. Such is the design of the Redemptor's Neuralink to the entombed user. There are whispers throughout that the Redemptor's advanced systems are a curse and a blessing at the same time, as many of those who have fought in one over a long period of time have had their original sarcophagus replaced as their original pilot was being burnt out by the intensity of the machine's destructive prowess. The Brutalis is a variant of the Redemptor that has been specialized with its weapon loadout for melee combat to produce the maximum amount of carnage. Like the Redemptor, the Brutalis will burn out, but those who endure will still have their mind drifting away from their former selves. The weapons on the Brutalis are the Brutalis Talons or the Brutalis Fists. The fists come with wrist-mounted twin-link bolt rifles. Mounted on top of the Dreadnought is a twin-linked Icarus Iron Hail heavy stubber that teaches enemies that they can't hide in the sky. The chassis can have fitted heavy bolters to allow for anti-infantry firepower, though they can be placed with a pair of multi-melters. The final variant of the Redemptor so far is the Ballistus Dreadnought. This Dreadnought is used as a weapon platform with its Brutalis missile launcher and devastating twin-linked las cannon. These walking platforms of weapons were used by the Space Marines to combat against Xeno foes like the Tyranids and the Orcs who attack in large swarms. They are also good against single targets like heavily armoured vehicles or single larger Tyranid bioforms. So that was all the patterns of a Dreadnought that the Space Marines have for the time being. But before wrapping up our little journey through the Dreadnoughts, I just want to mention 2 Dreadnoughts that are cool. But don't take my words for it. Instead, take it from a Dreadnought.
The first Dreadnought is called Bjorn the Foul-Handed. This brother from the Space Wolves is the oldest of us, as he served in both the Great Crusade and against the traitorous War Master. He is only awoken every 1,000 of years, or whenever his skills and wisdom is needed by his chapter, though he is also awakened at the dawn of each new century to hold court at the Great Feast, where he recounts elements from his own saga to his battle brothers. He is the embodiment of the chapter's link to its heroic past, and is revered by the Space Wolves as a hero almost as great as Leman Russ.
The other Dreadnought is a personal favourite of mine, as his last defiance against his Primarch, that being Ancient Rhydonor, but I'll let this Dreadnought tell you his tale.
This Dreadnought from a traitorous chapter stood fast and loyal to the Emperor, all the while his brother and Primarch marched for Horus. An Ancient stands for Ancient of Right. These titles of people who are responsible for overseeing of the chapter's new recruits to Thorgrim's Chosen. Rhydonor could tell if someone had spoken a lie the moment it was spoken. When the heresy started, he continued to do his duties until he didn't side with the rest of his chapter or Primarch on which side they should serve, and on Isstvan 3 is where he fought with other loyalist traitor Space Marines, and it is said that Isstvan was his final resting place.
And that was everything to do with the Space Marine Dreadnoughts and the Custodes Dreadnought. I hope everyone had a good time watching, and goodbye.